Join us on the last bus home.
He just fell off and he was just all covered in this white stuff. He had to run home. It was brilliant.
Class.
So, are we at the acme of season one? Or
We are, mate. We are, mate. The finale. I was kind of thinking, be good to take the bus round our hometown. What are you thinking?
Do you mean the top Leeds ghosts?
Oh, yes.
You read
Get
my
it,
mind.
lad.
The top 22, by the way, of Leeds ghosts, not Grimsby's 16.
So we're saying we outdo Grimsby on the ghost count.
Yeah, well, more for me is to see if you find all 22 legitimate.
Oof, right.
I already know you do, but let's go. But before we start, I just need to give a little shout out to Rob and Joe Tillotson. These are people who actually listen to us voluntarily without being feel like they have to listen to it or they're related to us. They're
Whoa,
independent volunteer listeners, yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Just giving a shout out to the Tillotson boys.
Nice. Yeah, shout out to those.
Yeah. Anyway, let's crack this on. So, let's just launch into it and we'll see what you think. So, number one, we've got Jenny White's Hole on the calls. So, the calls was described in 1835 as a gloomy road above the river. Heaton also describes a long flight of steps, dark and ugly, between the houses, the last being into the water, and long known by the name of Jenny White's Hole. Legend had it that Jenny White, finding marriage vows as false as Dice's oaths, had ended her life here. This is the alleyway and steps just to the right of 28 The Calls, or now known as Atkinson's building. She's meant to be seen on the stairs crying.
That's pretty
Very few of these have got any kind of people saying that they saw it. A lot of it just seems to be legend in Leeds, because Leeds is, it's what it is.
Well, I know the area, and I think I know the spot, and it is pretty cool around there, and kind of grim. You know, if you go down there on, say, like a misty day or even like a rainy day, which are pretty prevalent in Yorkshire. But yeah, it just looks gloomy. It gives you kind of like Jack the Ripper vibes. So perfect place.
Yeah, the alleyways down that area really are quite narrow.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm calling.
Yeah, you having it?
I'm calling truth on that one, buddy.
So, Grimsby 1, Leeds 1. Okay, number 2. This one's a big one, and it's the classic. It should really be at number 1 because it's Temple Newsam.
Ooh, nice.
So, not alone in haunting this mansion, the Blue Lady is best known here, having a room named after her. Other entities reportedly include a monk in brown robes, a Knight Templar, and a small boy who climbs out of a cupboard, and a nondescript misty form. Screams have been heard from the south wing, as have the sounds of something or someone heavy being dragged across the floor. So the Blue Lady is said to be the ghost of a 14-year-old Lady Ingram, who was robbed of her precious pearls and entered a state of deliriousness, dying shortly after. She now haunts the halls, weeping and searching for her pearls. I would say a more modern version of that would be you'll hear the cries of young Chianti, whose iPhone had been robbed, and she went into deliriousness, and to this day you can still hear Chianti shouting and swearing in the street looking for her iPhone. Less scary, but you got to move with the times.
Still works.
Right, a less well-known ghost story concerning Temple Newsam is the story of Phoebe Gray, who was one of the servants in the big house. Williams Collinson, one of the other servants at the house, was very keen on Phoebe and had been pestering her for some time. She had not encouraged or returned any of his affections, but he was not put off. Yeah, the guy had a goal.
He's persistent.
And it all came to a head after the Battle of Blenheim in 1704. During the battle on August the 13th, 1704, the Duke of Marlborough won a famous victory over the French. The victory at Blenheim was of huge importance to Great Britain, and to celebrate, a huge open-air party was held in the grounds of Temple Newsam. Both Phoebe and Williams were there, along with all the other servants and partygoers. Collinson had become very drunk during the evening. Phoebe left to take a nightcap up to Nanny Backhouse, as she did every night without fail. Nanny Backhouse's room was at the top of a long stone staircase. Collinson knew this routine well and hid in the shadows waiting for Phoebe, hoping for a kiss. As you can imagine, the stairs were very dark and shadowy in candlelight. As the poor girl came innocently down the stairs, Collinson jumped up from his hiding place and grabbed her. She struggled, but Collinson was strong and held on tight, placing his hand over her mouth to stifle her cries, which would probably get in the way of his kiss. I don't know. But he held too tight, and in his drunken stupor, he did not realise he was suffocating Phoebe until it was too late, and she was dead. All he could think of was how he could hide his crime. His plan was to put the girl's body in the well in the cellars. Collinson dragged the body down the stairs and threw it in the well, fulfilling his plan. In the morning, the body was soon found, and people quickly realised that Collinson was missing. The search for Collinson began, and he was found very drunk in a nearby town. Collinson was taken to York, where he was tried for murder, found guilty, and hung. The story goes that on certain dark nights, screams can be heard coming up from the cellar and down the stone staircase, followed by the thump, thump, thumping noise of poor Phoebe's body being dragged down the stairs one step at a time.
That's pretty creepy. Do we know where this well is?
In the cellars. So I generally keep my cellars under the house.
So it's not like it's not in public view. So I'm thinking it's giving me Ring vibes. You know, she was to climb out the well.
Right.
Terrifying.
Let's not start making people think that this ghost might possibly look like a classic internet ghost now.
You never know. But either way, mate, I'm still calling truth. Because
now I've got no I've got no accounts because they're pretty numerous from various people. I reckon you talk to any 10 people who visited Temple Newsam, 6 of them are going to give you some.
Temple Newsam's pretty old, isn't it? As far as like an estate or whatever.
Yeah. But it's big and it's grand, and a lot's happened there. And a lot of entitled people live in big houses and think they can get away with treating people subpar.
This is it. So just grim shit happened, which is why I'm calling truth.
And very, very easily covered up, unless you're a servant called Collinson, and you're obviously useless.
This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I'm a buyer of that one, mate. That probably definitely happened.
Okay. Well, of course it did. You can hear the thump, thump, thumping. You know what I mean? It's not just thumping. Okay, so number 3. This one I quite like. Skull and Stone's Yard behind Kirkgate. Okay. Hidden away behind Kirkgate, or Kirkgate, are the remains of an old hayloft and stable building that belonged to the Crown and Fleece pub. The pub isn't there anymore, but the place has been known as Skull and Stone's Yard for many years for a very good reason. One version of the story is that 2 men were drinking in the Crown and Fleece pub one winter in the 1800s, and the press gang arrived to force the men to serve in the army. Press gangs were employed in the 17 and 1800s to recruit new soldiers, and they were known for their brutality. So it's not so much recruiting as telling. Yeah. The two men were locked in the hayloft overnight, but when the door was unlocked the next morning, they were nowhere to be seen. The grisly truth became known soon after. The smell of decaying bodies grew, and after a few days, the men's bodies were found under the hay. So, just to be clear, the guys were locked in a hayloft. When they opened the door, they were nowhere to be found. And then a few days later, they were found under the hay. If I'm looking for someone in a hayloft on day one, I think looking under the hay might be a key part of that job. But they didn't, and they let them rot first, and then they found them under the hay. So apparently they had suffocated after trying to keep warm, and after the tragedy, the landlord of the pub erected a special stone carved with two skulls to commemorate the men who died there. And since then, the place has been known as Skull and Stones Yard. The ghosts of dead men are still said to haunt the building today. And there are lots of differences in how the story is told, so we can't really tell if it's true or not. However, you can, if you were to go to where this hayloft was or is now, there is still the brick in the wall with the two skulls carved into it. Well, they stick out of the wall. It's still there today.
That's pretty cool. So you can see it if you walked down the street.
If you found yourself walking down behind Kirkgate, look out for a stone in the wall with two skulls, 3D skulls carved into it, out of it.
That's pretty sweet. Near the Leeds Market, Kirkgate, we're talking that area. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they stick out from the wall. So I'm guessing it's round where you're behind the Tesco's Express opposite the bus station. There's the pubs around there, Duck and Drake.
Yeah.
Like that, and where Hellraiser used to be.
Ah, cool.
So, yeah, somewhere around there. So it's worth going to have a look, just to get definitely a photo, I think.
Yeah, that's quite a grim story as well. So when did this happen? What time frame?
This was it just says in the 1800s.
1800s. Again, grim times, so probably definitely happened. And a bunch of rotting corpses under a haystack.
You have to make a choice. It probably happened or definitely happened.
It definitely happened, mate. I'm not going to lie.
You can't probably definitely.
You know, if you get
you always say that sometimes.
If you got a bunch of rotting lads under a haystack, that's bad shit. That energy's going to turn
you wouldn't
sour.
have rotting lads under the haystack if you checked under the hay in the hayloft.
Well,
or am I just a perfectionist? I don't know. Don't get it. So I can see by the glow in your face that you're into that one.
Oh, I'm on it, mate. There wasn't a thing in that led me down the path of bullshit at all. No.
Okay. Well, you know, we're only up to number 4, so, you know, I can guarantee number 5 is going to do you. So, number 4, the Leeds Town Hall. Ever wondered why the Leeds Town Hall clock doesn't strike midnight? Leeds Town Hall has its very own ghost who apparently still haunts the building today. It's said to be the ghost of Mary Blythe, who threw herself from the clock tower in 1876. According to the story, the clock doesn't strike at midnight, so she doesn't wake up. There haven't been any recent sightings of her ghost. Although, the ghost apparently still haunts the building today. So
that's pretty cool. Is that true? If anybody knows if that's true, post that in the comments, because I really want to know without having to go and stand outside the clock to see if it doesn't strike 12.
Telling me you've never been in town, drunk or sober, at midnight? Come on.
Exactly.
When we're all meeting up at 7 o'clock, you rock up at midnight. So
if I'm drunk, the last thing I'm listening out for is bells, mate. So do you know what I mean? It's not something I've ever noticed, but again, kind of cool if that is true, and for that reason, which also means it's true.
Oh, okay. But there's more. The Bridewell, a small prison, which is still there today, right in the basement of the town hall, they remain relatively intact, like how they looked in the 1800s, with the old wooden doors and benches, and even the toilets the prisoners used to use. And one of those prisoners was so notorious, he apparently left his spirit behind. Charlie Peace was a burglar and a murderer who was tried for the latter at court before being taken to the Bridewell as he awaited his execution over at Armley. The town hall is said to be occupied by the deranged ghosts of several local Victorian politicians. Apparently, one of them can be seen pacing the hallways and can be heard complaining about the abolition of slavery, which deeply angered him. Sounds like a Leeds man. And Hinton from BBC.com says, I've seen a blue chimp ghost at Leeds Town Hall. That was in the comments of the the article that I got the Charlie Peace piece from. So yeah, someone saw. Yeah, Hinton left a comment saying that he saw a blue chimp. So there we go.
Well, I know for a science fact that there are prison cells in the town hall. Because I'm sure you can do like...
I don't think that's up for debate. They are
a tour of them, I'm sure. But yeah, that's pretty cool. And again, sort of similar to the any kind of large estate, you're going to have some rich folk in there that's maybe doing some dark shit.
What are your thoughts on the blue chimp? A relative of the Grimsby Bigfoot?
Yeah, do you know what, mate? Even in my believer mindset, I might have to draw the line with the blue chimp. But I'm not mad at it. You do you.
Okay. So, number 5, the Leeds Town Hall Lions. The big the statues out on the steps.
Yeah. Please say they come to life like the demon dogs in Ghostbusters.
Let's see. The lions outside Leeds Town Hall are the subject of another tale with different versions. One version that is if the bell ever struck 13, the lions would come to life and go on a killing spree around the city. But seeing as the clock doesn't even reach 12, it hasn't happened.
Right.
And another version suggests that if you run around the building in the time it took for the bell to strike 12, the lions would come to life. So there we go. Now, I feel...
Any eyewitness accounts on that one?
Well, yeah.
Anyone
Any
seen
number of smackheads down Kirkby.
Any reports of them dogs coming to life?
No, I think it's true because Leeds was called Leodis by the Romans. And we know Leo is lion.
That's pretty
So
cool.
we're the city of the lions. So we can't not have live lions that run around. But because, with the people, it's dangerous. So we've got the stone lions that sometimes run around.
That's believable. We've got bear pits, so why wouldn't we have wild lions?
But you mean revolution? But yeah, okay. So yeah, that's number 5. That's the Leeds Town Hall Lions. So you can either run around the building in the time it takes for a clock to go ding. That's fast.
Yeah, it's pretty fast.
Now Superman did that around the world and reverse time. So if you could do that around Town Hall, maybe you'll go back to Roman times and there might be a lion.
Maybe
not. Okay, so number 6. This one's very close to my home. I could walk there right now. Well, I could walk into Leeds right now if I wanted. Right, so the Middleton Railway.
Okay.
The Middleton Railway in Leeds is the world's oldest continuously operating railway. and it was built in 1758 and may have the world's oldest railway ghost story too. In December of 1821, David Brooke was walking home from work along the tracks. It was fairly dark and thick sleet was falling, making it difficult to see. And as the young carpenter walked along the tracks, he was totally unaware of an approaching train. The train driver also couldn't see David ahead. By the time David realised it was too late and the train hit him, pushing him down onto the track and dragging him under the moving carriages. His body was found in several pieces, mangled, broken and bloodied. According to local legend, David's wife and children were unable to support themselves following his death and were evicted from their home. They ended up in a nearby poorhouse where they became slaves of a factory owner. Since then, there have been many reports of ghostly figures wandering along the tracks, dressed in thick coats and shielding their eyes from the train.
Dark. Have you been to Middleton rail station?
I'd be lying if I said I hadn't taken the dog down there.
How's it looking these days?
Picturesque more than anything, because it's literally just used by one little train as a tourist thing. It's not a functioning, it's not a purposeful train. It's like you just take a bimble out from Beeston through to Middleton Woods.
So it's talking
down at the sports centre.
Like a quaint little village station. We're not talking city centre smackhead station.
Yeah, I suppose if you were to look at any photograph of a Yorkshire height of summer train track, where it's just like a green tunnel, really, of trees, it's kind of like that.
That's cool. Well, I
haven't been down in the sleet, dark night because I have literally no need to, but maybe I should and see what we can get. We could have an evening down there.
This is it.
But that's Middleton Railway, and I could get there and back in 15 minutes. It's quite close. So that's that. That's the Middleton Railway ghost. Number 7. Here we go. The ghost of Kirkstall Abbey. The former abbot of the abbey walks the area that has been converted into a museum, and it is more usual to hear the spirit moving around than see him. Traditionally, the entity is said to wear white robes, although the sighting in the 1970s reported the ghost robes as being brown or red. The abbey grounds are also home to a white female entity named Mary, who witnessed her lover committing murder and turned him in. Bitch. Another ghost of Kirkstall Abbey, the Mad Monk, is that of a lay brother who went mad after his brother was killed by highwaymen on his way from Fountains Abbey. Oh no, wait a minute. He was killed on his way from Fountains Abbey, and the monk went mad with guilt and began carving his brother's initials into the abbey grounds. These can still be seen in the small bench nooks around the ruins.
No way.
So that's something to go look for. Some carved initials. I'm sure no one else, with Kirkstall being a student town, I'm sure nobody's carved their initials anywhere in there.
That's some old school tagging. I like that.
Isn't it? But nice. Yeah, I mean, I suppose you can go and have a look and see if... I doubt he'd refer to himself as a mad monk.
I wonder if it's like Mad Monk on tour. What am I looking for here?
Mad Monk was here.
Yeah.
Or maybe Athelstan the Monk is gay. Or some, like
just
bus stop graffiti. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Mary sucks and then something scribbled out.
Yeah. All the classics.
I don't know. And then obviously a carved phallus.
Oh, yeah. Got to. That's timeless.
One with a dotted line. Yeah.
This is it. That knows no age. Just out of interest, because I don't really know too much of my history on Kirkstall Abbey, why is it ruins? Did it get bombed in the war?
They've just not finished building it. No, it's just well old. I don't think it got bombed. It just fell apart because it's just not cool to be a monk in an abbey anymore. Might have had something to do with Henry VIII. I don't know.
Who's your god now? Can't keep your building up. Sorry.
I just went deep. Yeah. But yeah, I think they're just lazy. They ran out of kind of like COVID, right? When the Black Plague hit, there was a lot of people sent home. You know, they couldn't work, and they got put on what's it called? What was it called when people got sent home, paid and unpaid?
Yeah. Furlough.
Yeah. I think in Black Plague, a lot of workers got furloughed and got sent home to play cards with family and board games.
Fair play.
So they never finished it.
What do you know?
That was the fate of Kirk Slabby. That's why the monk went mad, because he had nowhere to go and he was just left there with no roof. And we're like, what? So,
Well, I do like Cake Slabby. It's cool. It's pretty spooky. I kind of only go there Halloween times anyway, for some reason. I think they do like been to like a movie show in there where they'll put.
They do sometimes show films where a lot of goths just go and get drunk in Kirk Slabby because
it's what you do.
It's the emo thing to do.
Yeah. Fair play. Cool, man.
Right, so next,
whoa there, buddy. Before you
sorry, I'm getting giddy. I'm getting ahead of myself.
You are. Right, this is an abbey. Of course this shit's true. You know what I'm saying? Of course it's true. It's an old abbey. And monks, they're up to no good. We know this. We've seen the news stories.
Monks were shady.
Yeah.
You know, they acted all prim and proper.
This is
But they were dark. But I'd be dark if I had to have that haircut.
Yeah, and wear a robe all day.
Nothing cool about a tonsure.
This is it. So yeah, mate, that all definitely happened.
Okay. So what are we at now? 7 for 7.
I think that's 7 for 7. Yet to lay a stinker on me.
I thought I had you with lions. I'll be honest. Right. The ghost of Carnegie College. A former hospital, this campus was named by local press as being haunted by several ghosts, including a servant who threw themselves down a stairwell and something which would open and close doors. Legend has it that a man killed himself at Carnegie College, now Leeds Beckett University. He realised that his mistress would never love him. Apparently, he still haunts the staircase where his body was found. That's it. You know.
That was it. No further
mess around in Leeds with our ghosts. We just lay a fact out and you believe it.
Leeds Beckett, that's Henley, isn't it?
Believe so.
Yeah, I think I know the place. Do you know what, mate? Just out of lack of further information, and that's not on you, probably just isn't the stories, I'm going to have to call truth. There we go.
Sorry. Your default is it's true because there's no proof.
Truth until proven not truth is the way to go.
Truth until proof.
There you go. If it rhymes.
Is this going to become your motto?
It is.
Is this your first T-shirt, then?
It is, mate.
Truth until proof.
There you go.
Okay. Right, the ghosts of Leeds city varieties. Some of the strange things that have been reported through the years include a man in a bowler hat sitting by the piano, a pair of disembodied legs walking up the stairs, and a gentleman wearing a First World War coat and a variety of poltergeist activity. Slamming doors, cold spots, heavy breathing, and touches from unseen hands. However, the most persistent here seems to be the White Lady. This apparition is said to be a female vocalist who once performed at the music hall. One witness claims that he spent the night in the music hall and slept in the Dress Circle's bar. He says that he was woken in the night and noticed the room was ice cold. It was then he spotted a woman in a crinoline dress standing over him. He screamed in fright, and the woman seemed to just vanish into thin air. And a red-haired woman who patrols the theatre when performances are on. It's said that when she's seen, it can indicate if a show will be successful. The oddest rumour, however, is that paranormal activity is believed to affect the paintings adorning the walls, becoming warped and the subjects fraught. So we've got like Harry Potter-esque pictures on the wall. Now, I went to watch Dave Gorman at the City Varieties, and I was sat near the back, and it is very, very creepy.
It's pretty
Even
old school.
when we're surrounded by people watching a comedian, it was just, it was creepy.
It's an old place.
Yeah, it is.
I was expecting more kind of like fancy ghosts from the City Varieties, mate, to be fair, like ghosts of old thespians and people who have died on stage, that kind of stuff.
Why?
Just that's...
One's a pianist, one's a vocalist. What more do you want?
This is true. This is
Do you want
true.
someone dressed as like Frankenfurter? Or
Just a
something
pair
like
of
that?
just a pair of floating jazz hands.
Fair enough. Well, maybe there are, but just no one's seen it yet.
True. But as far as the City Varieties go, like I say, it is old, and yeah, I agree with you. I've definitely been there once, and I'm sure it's to see a comedian, and it strikes me as one of those places that needs work, but it doesn't need work because that's its style. It's dilapidated. It's old. It's cool.
It looks haunted, yeah.
Yeah, it's what you want.
It certainly smells haunted.
This is it. It's what you want from a place like that.
Yeah. If haunted smell like damp and musty. So, yeah, okay, that was the Leeds City Varieties, but somebody spent the night there, overnight in the bar, and said it was ice cold. I mean, duh. It's going to be cold.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So number 10, the ghost of Lum Hall. People have claimed that a ghost haunts Lum Hall, a Grade 2 listed property near Driglington. Witnesses say the ghost is a figure dressed in Civil War uniform and makes a shuffling sound near the front door. That's it.
That's that
Doesn't
one.
say which side of the Civil War.
But old as shit, nonetheless. So probably, again, pretty true.
Okay. Well, just shuffling. Do you think he's doing it? I mean, he's invisible.
It's what they do.
Having a boogie.
It's what they do. There you go. And if we're talking
Everyday
civil,
shuffling, yeah.
yeah, we're talking war era. It's what you do, mate.
Could have been just a guard on the door board.
This is it.
We don't.
So yeah, truth.
Right, then here we go. This is the number 11, the Golden Lion Pub. Now, this is that little one opposite the Adelphi.
Oh, yep, I know what you mean. Is it still open? Always looks closed.
Off and on, but no, I don't think. I think it's been shut for a while now.
Looks pretty sketchy.
Every now and again, I get an indication it's open, but that might be the ghost.
Oh, damn.
So, dressed in Victorian attire, this gentleman was often seen walking around under the pub. The upper part was said to be haunted by an old woman who appeared in the children's bedroom at night. Now, I used to have a book, and I remember the old woman in the Golden Lion Pub being mentioned. So, I'm going to give that one some credence.
Okay, fair play. It looks old. It looks like a really old, dilapidated building, so no doubt it's got some pretty dark history. Just the place where it is as well, that side of town, it's not too bad now. They're like jiving it all up, but I can imagine back in the day it might have been.
Well, back there, I mean, we've got the wharf. There's like Granary Wharf and all that. There's all the...
right near the docks, I guess.
There's the docks around the armories, yeah. And there's also... there was the brewery there at one point.
I'd like to think it's had its fair share of like pretty hard ass landlords as well, which you would need for a pub like that. So yeah, I'm calling truth on it.
Where all the dockers would drink back then, yeah. I mean, I suppose.
Yep.
So yeah, the Golden Lion. That I mean, just to glance at that pub on the street, it oozes ghost. To be fair,
100%.
for want of a better word. So, number 12, LGI. To foreigners, that's anyone outside of Leeds, that's the Leeds General Infirmary. There are many ghosts here. First, the ghost of a matron who walks the corridors outside what was once the paediatric ward. When she walked, it meant a child would die.
Whoa.
So that's dark.
That is pretty
Second, the ghost of a staff nurse who walks the hospital's old site, and she's been thought to administer medications and move objects around, even moved a patient from one ward to another. She died in strange circumstances, but doesn't know it. That is scary. If she's administering injections and medication and like moving people to the wrong wards, I don't want to go into hospital because I've got bellyache, and then this dead woman moving me into the eunuch ward, chopping off my Johnson.
it's straight up devious activity. Now you don't normally see from the spirit world.
Rude.
This ghost she's a joker, a prankster.
That's not funny, but go on.
Well, you don't get this kind of behaviour in the spirit world from other entities. So this is
not outside of Ghostbusters. You don't know.
Well, this is a bit of a live wire. So I like this. I like this ghost. She's pretty, like you said, frightening. Imagine that. Some dead old.
Well, she is a prankster, and she thinks that's funny and being light-hearted. What if you caught her in a mood?
If you did,
she might just start doing surgeries.
Well, this is what I'm thinking. If you did get taken in for a broken toe and you woke up with a vagina and you just turn around and you see the nurse at the door laughing.
And then disappearing. I'd be like, she got me.
She got you?
Me, you bitch.
That's on you.
Yeah.
So,
and I like that one. Have to carry me Willie home in a jar.
That's how myths are made. She's terrifying. She should be in the storybooks. I like that one.
She needs a film.
She does need a film.
So an employee at this hospital heard 5 voices and footsteps rushing down a corridor but could see nothing. There was a gust of wind as the invisible people passed him. So sounds like some emergency going on there.
It's a hospital, mate. There's going to be lots of ghosts. Let's just be truthful about it. Let's be real. Let's be logical. It's going to be crammed full of entities. So any one of these could be true.
There is nothing that this podcast is short of, and that's logic.
Exactly. So anything you've got from the LGI, I'm calling truth on, because unfortunately it's where some people go to die. And, if certain spirits linger, one of them just happens to be a demonic nurse. That's going to maybe fuck with your genitals while you're asleep. Who knows?
It's horrible. I mean, why if she sewed it on your head?
She could do if she's an original prankster. There's no bounds, really. No limits.
Anyway, we'll leave that. I don't want to give her any ideas because, my days of going to LGA aren't over yet. So
this is it, mate.
I could end up there again. I don't want to raise her ire. Okay, so number 13, we've got Old Lewis's building on the head row. A labourer working on the building with a colleague photographed a misty figure with his camera phone, and another worker on site claimed to have seen something from the corner of his eye, though when he quickly turned, it had vanished. I seem to remember someone on Look North about a workman on the head row getting a photo of a ghost on his phone. I'm sure I saw that on Look North.
The John Lewis building.
Well, it's called the Old Lewis building, Old Lewis's building. So I'm not sure if it's the John Lewis building because that's only recently become that.
Yeah, definitely. Not too sure where that is, but that's kind of cool.
Well, it'll be where Hoagie's was, won't it? It'll be that building, which is now John Lewis.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's a car park now, isn't it? Oh, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, that's that's that one. So, here we go. You'll like this one. Number 14, Leeds Outer Ring Road. A driver began to feel overwhelmingly terrified while passing through a valley along this road. To quote him, stood at the side of the road and looking directly at me was a very tall, shaggy, brown or black, fur covered shape. At my estimation, it must have stood over 2 meters tall and about 1.2 meters wide, with no visible limbs or eyes. But I sensed that the eyes were there somewhere as I could feel them boring into the car. The witness accelerated away, but the feeling of dread lasted until morning. Even after arriving home. Earlier the same year, a large black cat was observed crossing the same road, as well as between Headingley. It was observed crossing the same road as well, between Headingley train station and Burley Park station. Workers on the track have seen a large black cat around 2 meters in length twice. And on the first occasion, the feline appeared to have two cubs, one light brown and the other black.
I've definitely heard of the Black Cat of Leeds, 100%.
Well, they're all over the country, aren't they? Now, people are saying, obviously, they're from the Act in the 70s where people couldn't keep wild cats as pets, and a lot of them just got released. And that's where the populations come from. But also, there's another area of thought where people believe it's an old, previously believed to be extinct species of cat that used to live here.
Makes sense that people would just kind of dump their cats when that came into effect. And are we talking like fancy cats, as in like jaguars and all kinds of exotic kind of?
Well, big. I mean, 2 meters isn't small if it's a cat. But maybe someone ran around the town hall in the time of a ding.
You never know.
You don't.
You never know.
But yeah, so the old big cat thing has come to Leeds.
That's cool.
But what do you think the big hairy thing with no limbs is?
Yeah, that's
cats
different.
aren't really known for rearing up on their hind legs like bears do.
This is it.
Maybe it's a bear.
Maybe.
Who knows?
That might be two different entities there. The actual black cat thing, I think that's a real thing, but I don't think it's paranormal. I think those boys are just chilling in the woodland. A couple of panthers. You've seen Jungle Book. You know how it goes. Jungle Book in the city.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to use Jungle Book as a point of reference, if that's all right.
If you can get a pig in the
city. It's set in India for a start, so
this is it.
Doesn't really explain Leeds, does it?
Couple of jaguars.
Burley Park, India.
Couple of city jaguars.
Like the street crocs.
Exactly.
Street gators.
This is it. That's what I'm thinking.
So, number 15, Leeds Thackeray Medical Museum. This was bound to come up.
However, okay, yeah. Before you even start with this one, I'm calling truth, because that building is haunted as shit.
Yeah, I'll give you that. But there's a pretty cool fact that I discovered whilst looking at this. So it's believed that there's a waving woman dressed in 18th century garments walking about, and there have been spottings of the ghost of a man in a white coat on their Victorian street. And there are even more strange goings on, like the sound of footsteps knocking and banging. However, Yorkshire witch Mary Bateman is one of Leeds' most notorious villains. In 1803, Mary poisoned 3 people living in a draper's shop near St. Peter's Square in Quarry Hill. As soon as they were dead, she robbed the house and the shop. 6 years later, she was hanged at York for the murder by poisoning of Rebecca Perigo, the wife of a Bramley clothier. Mary's body was dissected in public to raise funds for the infirmary, and her skeleton is now kept in the Thackeray Medical Museum.
Nice. I was thinking that was kind of familiar. I've been there a couple of
So
times.
we have a witch's skeleton at the museum.
That's amazing. It's full of cursed items, so naturally the energy in that place is going to be off. But yeah, I'm sure I've seen that. So the name rings a bell. That's really cool if it is.
But Mary, right, Mary Bateman, could it possibly be the Mary at Kirkstall Abbey? Probably not, because it appears everybody born between 1750 and 1900 is called Mary.
A lot of Marys. Something about
There's a
Mary.
lot of Marys, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's that one. 16, Roundy Park and the Leeds area. So we've gone broad.
Leeds.
So this park, like many in Yorkshire, is reputedly home to a large demonic black hound. A photograph was published by a local press in 2019 which claimed to show the entity, but was more likely to be a dog being walked by its owner.
Okay.
I mean, at what point do you take a photo and see a dog and go and decide that it's demonic and not just a dog being walked?
I've seen some pretty demonic
Or was it
dogs
stood
being
there in a little
walked.
Victorian cloth hat like Damien and just staring at you? I don't know.
Glowing eyes? Any of that?
No, literally nothing. It's just large and demonic black hound. So if I was out walking my dog and someone saw me and they went home and said, "Oh, I saw Scott walking his dog," that'd be like, cool. But if they went home and said, "Oh, I saw Scott walking his hound,"
His demon hound.
that just darkens the whole story. Yeah. So the Leeds area also has the Gabble Ratchets. And I've said that wrong, actually. They have the Gabble Wretchets, which are local devil dogs, or better known as shucks, who are thought to be the souls of people who weren't baptized as children. So I think every village, town, area up and down the country have shucks, black shucks, but they're usually seen in churchyards.
Yeah. I think we have a bit of a black hound epidemic in England itself, because I'm sure I pretty much come across these stories.
That or just a lot of people from Leeds have black dogs.
Yeah. Hounds.
I have a black dog.
You have a black hound, sir.
Sorry, I have a black hound.
Better.
I wouldn't go demonic. I'd go
It's too friendly.
unstable, maybe. Yeah. So that's Roundy Park in the Leeds area. So we've got Gabble Wretchets.
I like that name. It's kind of cool. It
Doesn't sound made up at all.
No, and it conjures up an image again of
Of a drunk person.
something cool.
Okay. Right. So it's time to surpass Grimsby now. We've hit 17.
Woo-woo.
So 10 Woodhouse Square. Footsteps, strange noises, and doors opening that have been blamed on a phantom Victorian lady looking for 2 children who died in the former nursery room. Now, having looked at 10 Woodhouse Square, it's just offices. So
In Woodhouse, the area.
you would be forgiven for thinking that. It's in city centre. It's Woodhouse Square.
Ah.
Yeah. But, yeah, it doesn't look sinister, to be honest, in any way. It's around the area where all lawyers are and all that stuff.
I think I know what you mean. It's pretty picturesque around there, isn't it?
Around behind the courts.
Yeah. I can think of grimmer places in the city centre.
Like Grimsby.
Yeah.
Or the Calls. Yeah. Right, so number 18, Abbey Inn. I'm sure you've been there.
I've been to the Abbey Inn.
Yeah. Of course you have. We all have. The Abbey Inn has long been considered one of the most haunted locations in Leeds. It gets its name from the nearby Kirkstall Abbey, and local legends say that a tunnel links the inn to the Abbey.
That's true. I heard it from a stranger.
Man in the pub told you.
Literally.
Yeah, good source. The pub states there are numerous ghosts haunting the location, which they believe is at least partly due to the fact it doubled as a mortuary until the mid 1950s.
Whoa.
It's not like this pub used to be a mortuary. It's this pub doubled as a mortuary. Can we just look at that for a second?
That's crazy. And it a brewery as well. So imagine that. Imagine if the bodies got into the brewery tanks.
Yeah, you see, if the brewery was there and the mortuary, there'd be questions. It brings a whole new meaning to Bishop's Finger.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So it's believed there are at least 4 ghosts that are behind most of the hauntings, including a grey lady, a man in a Guy Fawkes-style hat, and a hooded figure, who they say may be tied to the nearby Kirkstall Abbey. Featured in the Yorkshire Post as recently as 2008, when a young woman reported the sound of laughter coming from the empty cellar. The pub regularly experiences bar stools moving by themselves, unexplained knocks, and punters being poked by unseen hands.
Tricky. Again, another lady. We're always with the grey, the white lady. We could do a calendar. The paranormal ladies of the UK.
Dead Boy.
Yeah. I'd buy that.
Or Sleigh Boy. the Sleigh Boy calendar.
Yeah, again, no reason not to call truth on that one. I know the place. Looks haunted. Ticks all the boxes.
You have very broad and very few boxes to tick.
Oh, and the paranormal
Okay,
game.
so there's that. Right, number 19. Armley Mills. Formerly the largest wool mill in the world. Children as young as 6 years old are reported as dying in accidents on the site. Children's voices are reported on the site and a dark figure spotted on a staircase. There have been numerous reports of doors slamming shut and opening again over the years, while people have also claimed they've been forcefully pushed, heard a small boy crying, and seen a figure in a top hat and a Victorian woman in a black dress. Enter at your own peril. Now, I think that mill, if it's the one I'm thinking of, is now flats.
Yeah, it is. That's the
And
one
I
I'm
do
thinking of.
believe one of our ex-Beano members lives in a flat there.
Ah, no way. I'm sure I've viewed a flat there when I was looking. And it's your kind of standard Yorkshire mill that's converted into a flat, which is what Yorkshire's really good at.
That's what Dewsbury and Batley are full of.
Well, I think it's everywhere, mate. To be fair, I mean, now child labour's become a bit of a touchy issue. You can't really run a successful mill. This is it. So
not anymore. Some of these influencer kids,
well,
parents are proper pushing them because there are no laws covering influencer labour.
How's a corrupt mill owner supposed to run his business when you can't get, good child labour? So why not turn it into flats? Makes sense.
I don't know. I think he should just have invested in bigger machines, got adults to run them.
Maybe, if you want to be boring.
Well, cuts down on hauntings, does it not?
And who wants to do that? We'd be out of the business, lad.
So, yeah, that's Armley Mills for you.
Well, I'm calling truth on that. It's a mill. Again, lots of history, some dark shit. Boxes ticked.
Isn't it? So, number 20, Armley Prison. This phantom manifests as a light that moves around the cells. One former employee reported prison officers in Victorian uniform and the sounds of clanging chains, with the most paranormally active areas being the new wings, which were constructed over executed prisoners' graves.
Ooh. It's a prison, bro. There's going to be some dark ghosts.
Decidedly dark things.
Oh, yeah. Bad energy, bad times. It's
Bad
life.
food.
Bad food.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Perfect for the boys to hang out. So again, truth. I would have thought a place like that is going to be rammed with
Prisoners.
ghost stories.
Oh. Well,
I bet
they'll have their own ghosts as well.
I bet the Wardens would have a tale to tell. Mind you, a bit more tricky with slamming doors. It's kind of what happens in a prison, isn't it? Poltergeist have a bit of a hard time.
Doors when they're all locked. Yeah.
This is it. Try that, Poltergeist. You're fucked.
Right then, so next one, number 21, The Palace. Having been a famous watering hole in the city since 1821, the Palace is rightly regarded as one of Leeds' most historic pubs. But it's not all about pints and pies at this city centre, Boozer. There's a ghost that wanders about the place too. The ghost is believed to be that of Michael Hill, once a famous actor, singer, poet and entertainer who died in the pub in 1948. He was thought so highly of that apparently the pub had held a benefit concert for his family after he died, but it seems he decided to stick around for a little bit longer, joining the Palace's loyal patrons for a pint or two to this day.
I like that. Nice. So a friendly entity.
Well, he seems quite passive and affable. Yeah.
No one minds a passive ghost, let's face it. So...
I don't know. You'd think so, but if there was a ghost who you kept seeing, but they were just minding their own business and they were just going about and ignoring you, I'd be thinking, what's your game? What are you planning? At least if they just come outright and open a drawer and start pouring me milk on the floor, I'll be like, oh, you're here for shitty reasons and I don't like it, and then I'll exercise him out. But this guy, it's like, I've got to keep my, when's he going to turn? What's his end game?
I see what you're saying.
You can't just assume they're nice.
But it could go the other way. Nice. What if there was nice? What if there was a really did give you a helping hand? Say you was on the toilet one day and you caught short. You just had a massive shit and there's no toilet roll to be seen.
He ran up to Aldi for me. No, that'd be cool. But he'd have to come out and say, look, I'm nice and I'll do something nice when something nice is needed. But in the meantime, I'm just going to hang out. I'll be like, man. But if he just started hanging out and not clearing it with me, that'd make me unhappy. And I wouldn't like it. And I'd have to insist that he leave.
Fair play. But you can't tame a ghost, so I think you would have issues with that.
I'd have issues, but if caught short, at least I'd get tissues.
Now that's the T-shirt. Get it done.
So that was the Palace. And finally, number 22. Now this was frustrating because to me, this sounds like Leeds' version of the Black Monk of Pontefract.
Okay.
Or more Enfield Poltergeist.
Okay,
but there's
cool.
so frustratingly little information that I can't pinpoint where it is. Okay. Or I've just got to accept that it's the Leeds area. Okay. Now, you can go look this up and you can go try find some info, but I couldn't. Okay. So we've got number 22, The House of the Hassets. Hassetts. Bit of ASMR for you there.
I like it.
The House of the Hassets is a family home that was built over 300 years ago, and it's considered as one of the most haunted homes in the country. So haunted, in fact, that the Hassett family has previously invited various paranormal television shows into their home in the hope of shedding some light on the paranormal activity that they're experiencing. Just some of the strange things that the Hassett family have experienced over the years include strange noises from all over the property, voices coming from the fireplace, and pictures mysteriously falling off the walls on a regular basis. The family dogs refuse to enter the house's cellar, and the owner of the house, Phil Hassett, claims that he's been woken up during the night by some unseen person shaking him violently by the shoulders.
Whoa.
Now, I've seen photos of the house. I've seen photos of the family members. I've seen interviews with the family members. I just don't know where the damn house is.
No videos on YouTube. No videos on YouTube about these interviews and stuff where you can kind of see where the house is and.
Not that I've found.
No.
But I'm only going to go so far trying to locate somebody's house because I'm guessing people, obviously people live there.
Yeah, true.
I don't want to get too creepy about it.
It'd be wrong of us to give out the address.
But if I can pinpoint where it is and maybe ride a bus past it and have a look.
Yeah, sounds quite cool. Have they? Did he state any reports of any proper investigators going around and doing a full-on investigation?
Yes, there's people who've done it, but and I believe Most Haunted went.
No way.
But I can't find any footage.
They send Derek, the boy.
Or Del. Del, Kieran. Either of them, really.
Well, I'd like to know a little bit more about that one because I love a good haunted house.
So would I.
Love a good
Yeah, the Hassets is good one.
Hassets.
So that brings us to the end. Not all of Leeds ghosts, but
good.
22 of them nonetheless.
A good amount, definitely. I knew there'd be quite a few. So Leeds is old. And
considerably bigger than Grimsby.
This is what they say, and it's grim up north, and ghosts like grim. So I call truth on every single one of them 22 stories, my friend. Every single one.
Including the lions.
This is it.
Both versions.
So 20 listeners, if you want to do maybe a little drinking game, have a shot at every haunted hotspot around Leeds. It'd be a bit weird because you'd have to stand in abandoned places and maybe someone's house.
If you can't get your hands on some shots, have a bit of spice or...
This is it.
A pasty.
And from the first tale, if you take a selfie of you having a shot down the well with that fucked up ghost, we will send you some free merch when we get round to making it. Thank you.
Jeez, getting ahead of yourself there.
But no, thank you for that, Mr. Wilson. That was a nice little 10th episode, season 1 finale there. So yeah, we should definitely take the bus to a few more cities in our lovely country and check out what's on offer.
Well, we can do them on request.
This is it. This is it. Cool. Well, I will see you for the start of season 2 even. And I'm getting off here.